Now it's time for today's perspective, and if you're part of the world of art, the name of my guest today will probably be familiar. Naomi Beckwith is Deputy Director and Chief Curator at the Guggenheim Museum in New York, and if that's not enough, she's also a Guest Artistic Director at the Palais de Tokyo here in Paris, the fall season, the autumn season if you're British as well. We're going to talk about both of them. There's also a book about the exhibition. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. But I'd like to start off with your work at the Guggenheim. I mean, you're Deputy Director, and to give you a full title, it's Jennifer and David Stockman Curator. I expect that kept your hands full.
It is a full-time job, but happily, it is a job that's really willing to share me right now with other responsibilities, mainly here in Paris right now, and at Documenta in Germany. But the best part is I get to work at an iconic museum with an incredible collection and making exhibitions that are important to think about the history of modern art and contemporary art today.
Yeah, how on earth do you do that? I mean, we've got some images of the museum, which of course I mean, it's iconic, isn't it?
It is.
It's a beautiful and amazing building, but how do you decide what on earth goes in it, and how do you arrange it to give it the quality and to make it shine within the building? Because a lot of people, let's be honest, are probably going to see the building as well.
A lot of people know this building, this incredible Frank Lloyd Wright icon built in 1959, was futuristic then, futuristic even now, but really the magic is inside of this building, and the magic are the exhibitions. I'm not there alone. I'm there with an incredible team of curators. We really scan the field of mostly contemporary art, looking to see who's making the most compelling art now. But also, we have an incredible collection of modern art. It was founded as a museum really thinking about what is happening globally around the world, who's moving across, especially then, Europe and the Americas, and making a compelling case for the power of abstraction, the power of art to make you feel, and the power of art to make you think. And the Guggenheim still continues to this day to really seek those artists who are allowing us to do that work.
Yeah, amazing to see, and good to talk about it as well. It always makes me think of of course, the Centre Pompidou, the Pompidou Centre here in Paris. But you're not here for the Pompidou, which is, of course, closed
We're here to say
temporarily
goodbye
at the moment.
to the
But
Pompidou.
instead, you're here for the Palais de Tokyo for the exhibition there. We've got the book that comes with the exhibition as well. Tell us about this.
Yes, this is really a kind of love letter to France. It is my way of talking about how, starting in about the 1960s, there was an incredible flourishing of new ideas, new philosophies, new theories coming out of France and starting to migrate to the United States. Loosely speaking, this was called the post-structuralist term in theory, and this is where a group of philosophers really asked us to start taking apart the world, to question the ways in which we come into being, the ways in which we imagine ourselves as citizens, as women, as men, in relationships to power, to language. All this came under question in the 1960s, and it had incredible impact on the way culture began to unfold in the United States. It was even, I would say, the beginning of postmodernism in the United States. And so I wanted to really talk to France about the ways in which all these ideas that came from this place then sparked new revolutions and new forms in the United States, and then bring those artists working in an American context back to France to continue a conversation around that exchange.
And how on earth do you do that? It's beautiful words, wonderful way of describing it, but how do you decide which pieces of art, we're seeing a lot of them behind you and on screen as you're talking, which pieces of art are going to tell that story, if you like?
That's really one of the hardest jobs. And one of the things that we've been saying about this exhibition is that it's a mission impossible, really. It's so big, so vast, but we could do it again with 100 different artists. We could do it again with even different artworks from the same artist. But what we've done really is try to make conversations between objects, and that's what exhibition making is. It is really like an essay with artworks where each object sort of contributes a sentence and makes an entire impression of the ways in which we could see the world now. You
were born and bred in Chicago, weren't you? And finished up being head of the, let me get this right, of the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago as well. I mean, could you ever imagine yourself, imagine you right now, you're that little girl growing up in Chicago, that you were going to rise to such a position?
No. And in fact, when I was a little girl in Chicago, I wanted to be a doctor.
Right, okay.
And I was
So where did this come from then? Oh.
Well, there is a really personal story inside of this exhibition. On the one hand, this is also an exhibition about my education, but on the other hand, it's really an exhibition about my introduction to contemporary art, which came through these ideas coming out of France, even though I didn't recognize it at the time. There is a work by the artist Marc Dion, a work called From Voltaire to Poe. In the exhibition, it is a cabinet that shows these sort of toys and these tchotchkes that you would gather if you were traveling, let's say, around Europe and the United States. Nothing precious, but what it does is tell us the story of the birth of museums. And Marc Dion was an artist that I met as a child, even when I was obsessed with the sciences. And he was interested in both the sciences and the arts. And I began then to understand the arts as a place where you can learn and explore anything and everything. You can talk about history, philosophy, ecology, magic, if you like. And that sort of began to shift my attention toward the visual arts. And I'm incredibly grateful to be in a field where I'm continually learning, where I'm continually exploring, and I get to spend a lot of time with artists, which is really, really fun.
That's not bad, is it? It's very inspiring stuff from what you're talking about. Can't have somebody like yourself in here with your history and not mention the big story which has been all over the news over the last few days, of course, in the art world, what happened at the Louvre.
Yes.
I mean, presumably, as somebody, you know, who's so involved in museums at the Guggenheim, at the Palais de Tokyo, it must be one of the worst nightmares, I suppose, of any artistic director or curator.
It is, and first of all, I really do send my thoughts out to the Louvre and the team there. It's really unfortunate what's happened there, but I think it's also a sign of really popular attention turning toward museums. So on the one hand, that's great. People know what's inside of museums. On the other hand, people do understand how priceless many of the things are inside of the museum. And so I do think maybe there's adjustments that we'll all be taking across the world, not just here in France, to really think about our work as stewarding and protecting art. Any museum that has a collection is basically holding it for future generations. And I hope that everyone, whether you work at a museum or you're visiting a museum, also understand that taking care of these treasures is all of our responsibilities.
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you want these works of art, whether they're older works of art like this or more modern, to be accessible to as many people as possible. And you want people to be able to get close up to them. But at the same time, it has dangers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a real balance, right? A balance between accessibility and security. And these things have changed over the years. We also know that this is not new in the world. Many museums, including the Louvre historically, our dear Mona Lisa has walked away, happily come back. Perhaps this will happen again. But across the United States, across Europe, really, this has been an ongoing issue, and every time we adjust, and we hope it doesn't happen again.
You gave a very positive image a few seconds ago of the art world and the way the art world is continuing to evolve and change. What are your hopes and thoughts for the future? I mean, do you still see art and exhibitions and museums forming a major part of our culture and something that people are going to continue to want to go and see and thrive with?
Undoubtedly. One of the reasons I wanted to work at the Palais de Tokyo is every time I've come to visit, it's full of families. It's not just full of art mavens, but children, young people, people who are excited to engage with their bodies.
It's a great space as well.
It's an amazing space, a really magical place to show art, and this is why so many artists are thrilled to show there. But most importantly, there is a real, I think, change in museums right now where even artists are thinking about the ways in which their art can speak more accessibly to a public, and also how they can make opportunities for people in the public. At the Guggenheim right now, I have an exhibition of the artist Rashid Johnson, who not only has added his artwork in this great expanse of a museum, but he's created a stage. He's created resting places. He's created opportunities for the public and even other artists to be able to create and experience themselves and not just art. And so really, one of the best things that's happening in this contemporary moment is that everyone is well aware that we want the widest possible audience in our museums. These are places for everyone.
Beautifully put, and great to have you with us on the programme today. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. Naomi Beckwith, Deputy Director and Chief Curator at the Guggenheim Museum, at the Palais de Tokyo at the moment with this, once again, Echo Delay Reverb. So if you're in Paris, I'm not sure how long the exhibition's on, but for a few months, I imagine.
Or until the top of the year, so please do visit.
There you go. Thank you very much once again for coming
My pleasure.
to us.